What's up, waves? Welcome back to Anime Lane. As always, I'm your host, Notorious, and joining me once again today is just Shaun.
Merry Christmas, Xbox.
I realise now, I think we did not introduce ourselves in the Spy Family episode that's to come out next week. I think we just kind of skipped over that and just went into it.
Yeah, you're right. People know who we are
People
at
know
this
who
point.
we are. But yeah.
Our names are in the description. You can read them.
So today's episode, if you haven't guessed by thumbnail and title and all that shit, we're talking about...
I can't wait to see what the thumbnail is going to be for this one.
I have no idea what I'm going to do. I need to make it like as soon as we're done recording. That's the fun part.
Yay!
So today we're talking about Xbox and how this, well, their whole life, but you know, this year's been a very, you know, what's that meme? Xbox year of humiliation to adapt it to this specific circumstance. Or
I don't think I've seen the meme you're thinking of.
American Decade of Humiliation. I've sent it.
Okay, you sent it, yeah.
Yeah, it's been... You know, Xbox has been on a slow decline since announcing the Xbox One, really, and then just not having any exclusives outside of what you could barely call tentpole franchises at that point because of the way they treated them, you know, with like Halo. Obviously this is stuff we'll talk about later, but you know, Master Chief Collection launched in such a bad state. Then there was Halo 5. You kind of only really had Forza as a consistent thing back then, and even then, and then it was just like, you know, things were getting cancelled left, right, and center. Scalebound is the one that jumps to me off the top of my head, and there's more because they were just cancelling everything.
Of like the last few recent years, the one that always stung with me was Perfect Dark.
Yeah, well, who knows what's happening with Perfect Dark? They maintain it's happening and it's coming out.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it got officially cancelled.
I don't think so. There's like a trailer that came out. I think at one of the games fests like last year, and I don't think it's been cancelled since then. They kind of keep maintaining it's gonna happen.
I'm certain it's been cancelled. The Wikipedia article says Perfect Dark cancelled video game. So.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was cancelled, which is crazy because they were like, oh, it's still happening.
They were hyping it up.
Yeah. I almost
announced at the Game Awards in 2020. Perfect Dark was the first project by The Initiative, a first-party team established by Xbox Studios. Blah blah blah. A gameplay trailer was revealed at the Xbox Game Showcase in June 2024. In July 2025, it was announced that the game would cease production and that the initiative would be closed as part of numerous rounds of layoffs by Microsoft.
Okay, layoffs things aside, because that's very much a 2023 to 2025 situation. That's
an industry-wide thing as well.
Yeah, but this reading of, like, it was announced however many years ago, it was then given a trailer, and then they've just cancelled it like a year and a bit later, is how they've been operating for the better part of a decade with the Xbox One, now the Series S and X. And so it's just been like a slow and steady death, and they kind of now are pivoting towards PC and not really being a hardware company, sort of like Sega, except if Sega just didn't commit to the bit.
The difference is Sega failed in a blaze of glory after, like, you know, their own fuck ups, and it didn't take a whole decade to happen.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it came close, but you know, Xbox just sort of gave up after making the biggest purchases in video game industry history.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not just that, it's like Sega, at least, you can kind of pretty much play their entire catalogue from the Master System up until their final console. I always forget which one it is. It was the Dreamcast, right? Yeah.
This is important to note because there's going to be a tidbit about them at the start of the story.
But basically with, like, you know, them bowing out during the Dreamcast, since then you can play at least their first party stuff and some or most third party games on other platforms. Things have just been ported, and like, yeah, we joke about Sonic Adventure being a port of a port of a port of a port, but at least you can fucking play it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's it's at least, you know, iconic in some sense. You might
Yeah.
not like the game, but it is some iconic to a good part of like the gaming industry. I don't know if I'm pushing it there, but it's memorable. People know about it,
Yes.
whether for good or bad.
And what Xbox are doing right now is calling everything an Xbox, putting out an Xbox handheld that is just a Steam Deck clone but running Windows. But the big problem with that is you can't call something that plays less than 20% of the library of games that you have across 4 generations of consoles an Xbox, because the Series X and S can play original Xbox games, it can play 360 games, it can play Xbox One games, and it can play obviously its own games. But a PC can't. The library isn't available.
Yeah.
And so there's this pull out of the market without the dedication of making things playable. It's not quite a Nintendo move, because Nintendo are still a hardware manufacturer.
Yeah, and they have their own ecosystem that they like very much keep to, that they don't try and like dilute themselves through.
Exactly.
It's also the fact that just from like a purely marketing standpoint, saying this is an Xbox thing is just so dumb from a consumer level, because to me, I can't stop thinking of the fucking Syndrome quote from Incredibles, where if everything's an Xbox, fucking nothing is.
Exactly.
This podcast also, I'm being told right now, counts as an Xbox.
It's got the Xbox logo. This specific episode is
exactly.
an Xbox. It can
Our
run.
voices are Xboxes.
It's the only thing on PC that can run Halo 5.
Yes. Yep. That is a true fact. It cannot stand Halo 5 though.
No. So yeah, we're kind of just gonna go through from the start and kind of talk more. I think we'll talk obviously history and lineage and stuff and the actual facts of it, but I think this is more an anecdotal thing because we were there, man.
Yeah, we sort of saw the whole thing unfold, like from when we were very small kids to where we are now.
Yeah. So yeah,
so like on the history aspect, this is not going to be as obviously as a deep dive as like other videos on the subject, but we're going to give like an overview of like the whole thing from our own perspectives.
Yes, yeah, this is very much like what was our experience of these things whilst talking about like the actual a little bit of the larger story of it, you know, from a realistic standpoint, I guess. So, of course, the original Xbox comes out in 2001, launch title, Halo Combat Evolved, absolute system seller, is the killer app, an absolute dark horse of a release, because no one really expected Microsoft to come into the gaming market, especially against the PlayStation 2 from Sony, and actually succeed.
It's interesting because, like, from what I've like read up, the way the original Xbox was just sort of like conceptualized was like it was in the late 90s, and so it was because Sony was hyping up the PS2 at the time, as they do, and because the hype for the PS2 was so fucking insanely huge for what it actually was, not to downplay the PS2. But, like, a main thing I think Sony was trying to pull at the time that, like, oh, yeah, the PS2 is going to be so advanced, you're not going to need a home computer after a while.
Yeah.
Like, everything will just be on the game console and on a PlayStation. And for some reason, Microsoft believed this.
Yeah.
Microsoft saw that and was like, oh, God, they're going to replace us. We got to do something about this. I don't know if it's just because it was the late 90s and the internet seemed so much smaller and no one could really predict just how all-encompassing that would be.
Yeah.
But, like, Microsoft apparently had a genuine fear of being pushed out of the market.
Of course
so they were like,
did.
oh, fuck, we got to get into the video game industry. So they pulled out all the stops. They tried to buy Nintendo at one point, which I only learned today.
Of course they did.
Nintendo told them to fuck off, as you can imagine.
Yeah, good.
Because what? They tried to I think they tried to get some sort of deal with Sony initially to like help them. Like I don't think it was a hardware thing. Maybe just like get some of their own games on there. And Sony went no.
Yeah.
And so eventually they went to Sega, who was having a great time in the late 90s, let me tell you. And there was a little bit of a working relationship. I think there was a version of Windows that came out for the Dreamcast, because the Dreamcast did try and get internet connectivity as a thing way before its time. But obviously, the Dreamcast went the way of the Dreamcast, so you know that didn't really last.
Yeah, they found Microsoft approached Sega just before they jumped, just before they stepped over the ledge. You know.
Yeah, they basically saw what was going on. And was like, okay, let's just take some notes down here, and I will see you in the graveyard, buddy.
Yeah.
The end of all this did lead to Xbox basically poaching the then Sega of America president, Peter Moore, to become the head of Xbox, like just a couple of years into the original's lifespan.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't remember it, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. It's like, you know, he was like the face of Xbox for like a little bit, as for what we remember.
Yeah.
You know, the original Xbox actually releases, they get Bungie to stop making their Mac exclusive Halo and change it into an Xbox first person shooter Halo.
Yeah, because Halo's story in and of itself is a whole thing where they had no idea what it was, and then you know, they were approached by Apple and it became a Mac exclusive thing. It started off as like an RTS, and then eventually it became a first person shooter, and then it was
basically going to be like on some level I think a successor to Marathon, because those were basically the Mac exclusive Doom games for a while.
Yeah, I think like as an evolution of that into like a 3D thing. Yeah, and then they were really far, if I remember correctly, they were really far along in development, and were kind of running out of money, and then like at the last minute Microsoft came knocking and were like, we will buy the game for exclusive you know, as an Xbox title, and of course that then became the defining game of first person shooters on the console. Like none of them had
Halo
really...
is Xbox.
Yeah. But like even FPSs on consoles had been around for a bit, but it was really Halo that solidified how they would feel, how they would play, the actual sort of like precision and actual fidelity of gameplay that Halo games have. Because before, you know, it's like there was a Call of Duty or two Call of Duties, and there was, you know, the Medal of Honor games, and there was that one Alien game.
Actually, COD was 2 years after Halo.
Oh shit, you're right. So it was Medal of Honor. At this
Medal
time.
of Honor is what you're thinking of. Yeah, and the big thing about Halo is it's basically solidified the twin stick sort of movement that is now standard in every first person game ever on a controller. But they didn't invent it.
Yeah,
an Aliens versus Predator game I think did it beforehand first.
It was
Halo's the one that caught it on.
I believe it was Alien Resurrection, the video game.
You're right. For some reason I was thinking of the Jaguar Alien vs Predator in my mind instead of I think it was Alien Resurrection.
Yeah. And people hated that. Like they had no idea like what to do with that. But the game doesn't.
Is this two sticks? I only have the brain capacity for one.
I think Resurrection's problem was that it was the PS1 and the game didn't run great.
Yeah.
And you know, that's sort of also the issue with a lot of those Medal of Honors, even on the PS2, is that, you know, they're cinematic, quote unquote.
Yeah.
They're doing their best, but they're just a little too ambitious for what they are.
Absolutely. I played a good bit of the PS1 original Medal of Honor, and like, the scope is there. I see the dream, Spielberg. I see the vision of what you want, but you're on the PS1 and it's like 1997.
Yeah.
And nobody knows how to make a first-person shooter on a console that feels good to play.
Yeah. Plus, the
way you aim is like you hold down one of the triggers and then you press another trigger to shoot. It's sort of like how GoldenEye plays, but not as smooth, and that's funny,
Yeah.
seeing as GoldenEye also isn't quite as smooth compared to modern standards.
But yeah, so obviously that then the console launches, Halo comes out with it, and it's a big hit. It's, you know, it redefines Microsoft for the gaming landscape, and you know, is a surprise seller of just, you know, of the console, but as a game in general too. And you know, it's a big landmark, I think, for story based video games too. It brings a certain gravitas to it, and I'm not trying to dismiss, you know, video games that come before it, because Final
Absolutely
Fantasy
not.
exists, and Final Fantasy has been an absolutely stellar experience across most of its games up to the point there. But there's something
Even
about
on like first-person shooters as well, because at the time of recording, I've recently replayed Half-Life,
oh yeah,
which,
of
you know,
course,
huge inspiration to obviously what Halo was going for in its final incarnation. But like, and Half-Life made a whole point at the time of being, you know, cinematic, you know, having a story in a first-person shooter that actually, you know, meant something to the game.
yeah,
But it didn't have like overarching like cutscenes and a narrative that like took you across, you know, different parts of like the world.
yeah.
Half-Life for what it is great. I don't want to undersell it at all. It's just, you know, Halo took that whole cinematic approach to another scale.
Yeah, and I think with Halo, it's everything together. Everything clicks into place. You know, it's the music, it's the actual like legit delivery of the dialogue, because at that point, you know, there had been no voiced Final Fantasy games. I think was Final Fantasy X the year after this. Was that 2002?
I think it was 2002. Yeah, hold on, I got it right here. Oh, it was 2001.
Okay, so these were like the same year.
Yeah, Final Fantasy X released in Japan in July, but in North America December of 2001, which was post Halo.
So like a few months after. So this was like the first to market where like there's a genuineness to the acting of dialogue and characters.
It takes itself seriously.
Yeah. Whereas video games before that, it's like, you know, it was people in a booth hamming it up, really.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just the game itself. There's the fact that the manual had all this like extra contextual information to set up the world, and if that wasn't satisfying enough, there was a book that came out at the same time that gave so much more backstory, but also left enough of the world open to question to build beyond that.
Yeah, they wrote a prequel novel for this, like, for their killer app, and like that was not common in video games at the time. They didn't expand on the lore much outside of the game. I can't think of any big examples. And like, again, to go back to Half-Life as like the biggest like example I could think of like of an FPS pre-Halo. It's great. It's great. I love the story of Half-Life. It's not super serious in Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
The scientists are voiced like your typical stereotypical scientist, and when they get hurt they go stop. It's not quite the same, you know, seriousness as Halo.
Yeah, so it's, you know, it's odd to think, because video games were an art form even way before then, but there was it was almost like a clinching point, I think, is what you could kind of describe it as, of like this moment where video games evolved. Because like you said, like, you know, Final Fantasy X was the December of that same year, and that was a huge point for Final Fantasy, for PlayStation 2, for, again, video games. If people still think that laugh is bad voice acting, they have no media literacy and don't understand what that scene is doing. I'll take that to my fucking grave. I'll die on that hill.
We ever do a Final Fantasy episode, you're gonna rant so much.
But yeah, it's like where video games sort of started to be more than just like the thing you had in the living room that the kids played with every so often.
Yeah. It was a toy.
It was a yeah, and that's sort of how you could sort of describe everything up to the PS1. As they sort of were seen as toys. Yes, the PS1 was also a CD player. It had games like Final Fantasy VII, Mortal Kombat, etc. But it was still seen as a toy. Whereas
Yeah, predominantly. Like, especially since like, sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah.
But like, especially since like in the 80s, like Nintendo purposely marketed their consoles as like toys, not just basically to get around in North America the video game crash.
Yeah.
And all that. The whole history of why they marketed specifically as a toy for like kids, but like it sort of caused a lot of damage as a whole, which means that when games like Mortal Kombat were coming around, you know, it caused a whole stink.
Yeah, and that's how we have the ESRB and Peggy here for us, Peggy 18.
A little later on, yeah.
Yeah, a little later. It was the BBFC that was handling it for a long time. But yeah, I had a thing.
I'm sorry.
So no. The Xbox and the PS2 were sort of this shift into something more. Video games as an industry, as juggernaut things that existed. I mean, just not even 6 years later, there's the whole Halo 3 marketing campaign. Yeah. You know,
we were starting to get what you could basically call the, in air quotes, hardcore gaming market, and that's basically what Xbox really is as a brand.
Yeah.
It is, despite how much they fucking are trying to kill that.
Yeah,
they really are the brand of hardcore, you know, gamers.
Yeah, at that point in time and through the 360, they definitely were, and then they wanted to be the everything system with the Xbox One, and ultimately that was them shooting themselves in the foot, and then they've proceeded to continually shoot themselves in other body parts as time's gone on, to sweeten the deal.
Let me die, Phil.
So yeah, like, do you have? I remember I think you mentioned your sister had an original Xbox.
Yes.
So what are your memories with Xbox?
So I remember when we first got the Xbox. Up until then, the main console we had in terms of games was a PS1, which was also officially hers, but I think I basically inherited both it and basically the Xbox like right after, because I was the one that was actually more interested in the video games, and that stuck with me.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older. But like, I remember we had a handful of games. We had Halo, obviously. I can't remember if it ever had like the box or if that got lost like immediately, because I only ever remember having like the disc.
Yeah.
In like a slipcase or something. I'm pretty sure it for a good many years, it just basically was in like a CD holder pouch thing for a good long while. So I remember that. I remember we had I don't think it was a Need for Speed game. I think it was like a Sega racing game as well that came with like one of the wheels.
Oh wow.
And a handful of other just, you know, basic stuff. But like the whole thing that I loved about the Xbox was not just Halo, but just how it felt as like an aesthetic as a kid, because the original Xbox has such a Y2K ass style.
That boot up screen, as well as just the entire design of the console, is so like Y2K, 2000s, turn of the millennium.
The Matrix came in and defined a decade.
Yeah, pretty sure that's the only reason the Xbox is green, really, is that the Matrix had come out, you know?
And it was the cool thing. I know it wouldn't have worked past the 2000s, but I wish they had kept that, whatever the hell that aesthetic was, longer than just the original console. Because the original Xbox has such a feel to it.
It really does. Just needed them to redesign those controllers just a little bit sooner, or maybe not release them in that, you know, that size that they were.
The fucking Duke controller. I am very lucky to say I never had to deal with the Duke controller as a kid. I'm pretty sure I would be unable to play anything with that big ass thing in my tiny hands. like Remy from Ratatouille trying to play a video game console would be me trying to play with that controller.
Yeah.
I'm having to reach across just to hit one of the buttons. Thankfully, never had to deal with that.
Mm.
I also think a thing that sort of hindered it compared to the PS2 is the fact that it could play DVDs,
but you needed the remote to do it.
And I remember the version we got specifically came with that thing just so it could play DVDs.
Yeah.
And even back then, I was like, why can't it play DVDs unless we stick the remote thing on it? That's so dumb.
Yeah.
Why is that a thing?
No, yeah, that's crazy. I think my uncle had the remote too. I'm not 100% sure now that I think about it, because we had a PS2, or I had a PS2. It was mine. I got that for around when I was 5 in 2002. And I'd never really had any encounters with Xbox until I think it must have been 2004 or no, 2005 or maybe sort of 2006ish, because I was staying at my uncle's, and he had the Xbox, and I remember going into the closet and looking through the games, and there's 3 that stick out to me. There's Halo 2, and Doom 3, and that's how I can sort of pinpoint it to round about 05, 06, because I know the 360 either was just coming out or wasn't out, but Doom 3 marks it, that era of time.
Absolutely.
So remember pulling them out and sort of not really being sure if I should play Doom 3 at the time because it was rated an 18, and like I don't think I'd encountered an 18 rated video game at all at that point in time.
Sorry, besides the point, but it is wild to me that Doom 3 was rated an 18. That's not really an 18 game. That's like a 15 at best.
By today's standards, yeah, it's probably not. But back then, I get it. There was kind of nothing like it at the time.
Okay, yeah.
So, you know, I put that to the side and was like, we'll maybe play that if I'm feeling brave
later.
And it was nothing to do with being
I'm not quite in that era of myself yet. We'll get there.
And so I put in Halo CE, and that was, you know, a game changer thing for me, because like I remember I had the PS2 and I would have had it for years at that point, but I never really played things too seriously at that point. I sort of fucked around in the Spider-Man games. I had others. I can't remember off the top of my head what, but probably just sort of like movie tie-ins or kids games and stuff like that. Yeah. But like getting Halo, that was sort of like a revolutionary moment of like, these can be something. These can tell a story. They can be engaging and interesting and have amazing music. Like, I can't emphasize enough how I've never really spoken about this, I don't think, but like music to me is special. I have a very close relationship with music, and it's very important to me, and it's a big defining factor of just everything, movies, video games, etc. And to have something with the soundscape of Halo, it grabbed me and pulled me in.
Definitely something that grandiose, because like there is nothing quite as iconic for music and gaming as is just the title screen.
Yes. Yeah, I remember that title screen coming up and just the music, you know.
Yeah. And there's no flashiness, like past like the opening logos of like, you know, Microsoft Studios or whatever. Like there's nothing flashy about the Halo like title screen. It doesn't like hit you with bright colors and stuff. It's very simple. It just hits you with the title, the ring in the background, and just this very grand sort of like choir playing. Yeah.
And it establishes a tone just immediately, you know. Even as like an 7 or 8 year old at the time, that very much left like an impression of like, oh, that this is something, this is special.
Yeah, this can be like much more than just a toy.
Yeah, and so I played that, and I think I got to like Truth and Reconciliation, and I got stuck because Truth and Reconciliation
It's a shit level, really,
It's a
isn't
really
it?
bad level, especially once you
We
get
have
into the
we have
ship.
attachment to it, but it is a shit
Oh,
level, really, when it
100%.
comes to just pure design.
I have no qualms with like anything else in Halo 1. Even if the back half of the game is the same but backwards.
That's gonna be my thing. Yeah, look, I cannot stress enough. I love Halo CE, but there are quirks and there are kinks in that game that you try and play over and over again. You're like, I don't really like this part.
It's specifically for me Truth and Reconciliation because I just can't like shake that little part of me from when I was a kid when I first played it, and I just got stuck once you get into the ship, because I think the original Xbox version, it has a tendency to just fucking break, because there's multiple times I played it on the original Xbox, like trying to play it at my uncle's, and then when I got my 360 and played it on there, where you get to a certain point and you're meant to interact with a console to let in, I think it's Fohammer or whoever, and it's meant to point you to it, and then when you get to the console, you just hit the X button, and you know the cutscene plays or whatever. There's a tendency for that to break sometimes, and I don't know if it's like because you can fall off the like other levels of that area very easily, if it sequence breaks it.
I'm picturing this in my head, and I think the worst part of this is I think what you're describing is the end of the level as well. Like it's the last thing you do.
And I just could not get past it. It was like every time I got there, either because I maybe fell off one of the upper levels before you're meant to get down there, and that broke the sequencing of like checkpoints and stuff, which it meant it was like telling me to interact with the console, but there was no waypoint in every console, because there are multiples sort of dotted around the area. I just weren't interactable, even the one sort of like in the center that you're actually meant to interact with, that's like right fucking in the middle of the level. And yeah, so that sort of pissed me off for a long time, and there's now that part of me playing it where I'm like, I'm gonna get to the end and it's just not gonna work, it's just gonna break.
No, that is so fair. That is so fair, especially when I found, remembering like that level correctly as well. That's just after you've had to escort Keys, and he is he's a frail motherfucker in the end of that level. You've got to keep your eye on him.
Yeah. So I then jumped to Halo 2 and played that, and I think this was more through choice. But when I first played Halo 2, when it dumped me into playing as the Arbiter, that was usually my like, okay, I'm done for now.
Sacrilege.
Just at the time, I think it's like, because I hadn't played 1 all the way through, even watching the introductory cutscene, I didn't really have like the grasp of like why I was suddenly jumping to this other character, and I'm like, no, just let me keep playing as Chief and blowing shit up, because this also happens like immediately after the level where you just steamroll through the whole place in a tank.
Yeah. So I can imagine as a kid being like, I want more of that. Why do I have to do this? This game sucks.
And it's also because the first Arbiter mission, you have to do a lot of it without shooting anyone. You just have to walk through a bunch of places. So I think to like 7 or 8 year old me, that was just sort of like, this is boring. I'm just gonna replay the last mission a bunch of times.
That makes a lot of sense. To sort of quickly like just go over like my sort of earliest memories of Halo, I've realized that like the big thing for me that I think Halo sort of showcased that gaming could do for me, it wasn't just like the grandiose part, like the sort of scope of everything. It was co-op.
Of course.
Because it was my sister's, you know, it was technically hers when she got it, so she was the one that played it for a bit at first. Obviously, because we had Halo, that was the first game I think I can remember showing that co-op was a thing. You can play a game not just by yourself, but with someone else along with you. And I remember my very early memories of the first few levels of Halo is playing it with co-op, with her. So after a while, I think there are some parts of like the co-op specific experience that stick with me even when I'm playing it on my own.
Mm-hmm.
Like to sort of illustrate what I'm talking about, there's a part in the second level, just named Halo.
Just named Halo.
Not confusing. Yeah, where like you're in like, I sort of call it the in-between part between the two halves of the level, when you're in like the tunnel.
Oh yeah,
Like the
yeah.
underground tunnel. You know, the one that's not an actual formation. Thanks, Cortana.
Yeah.
But like there's a part where like, obviously there's a part where you have to activate a bridge to get from one part of the like the chasm that you're in to the other, and like I remember for a while we were stuck on that part because there's no obvious thing telling you like there's even supposed to be a bridge there that you have to activate. You kind of just have to run around and go around it. Eventually one of us finds the panel, and like in single player there's a cutscene that plays to like show it to you, but like if you're playing in co-op, that just all happens like in real time. And I remember just sort of like that being like a moment of, oh, we can, that's something we can do in the game, and the game responds, and that's actively shifted the level around us. That is wild. To this day, I think like playing CE specifically in co-op is such like a special thing to me. There's just a specific vibe it goes with that just makes the game feel whole.
Yeah.
Like even beyond just like the solo experience, which is still good. Then our disc would freeze after like Silent Cartographer, so for the longest time I never knew anything past Halo beyond that.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. I mean, is it though? It means I didn't have to deal with Assault on the Control Room in my childhood.
That's fair, actually. You know what? That is fair.
Yeah. I feel like that actually is a good spot for it to freeze.
But yeah, so I played those, and I did eventually try out Doom 3, and I think that's now why I love Doom, and why I specifically have a soft spot for Doom 3, even if it's not a good game.
It's fine for what it's going for. It's fine. It's okay. It's not my favorite Doom.
No, it's not my favorite Doom now either. It's hard to top one specifically, and obviously 2016 exists now, and that's you know even hard to top by the other games that they've released. Though I haven't played the Dark Ages, but you've kind of said you know it's still not Doom 2016.
Yeah. Dark Ages is fine, just to like give a brief review there. It's fine. I love its style and what it's going for. It doesn't hit the same heights as 2016, or even if you really like Eternal, not even really Eternal.
Yeah, which is like if you liked Eternal more than 2016 or any of the other games in the franchise, just maybe visit a doctor, get checked, you know.
The slander against Eternal will never end with you.
No, it will not. That game makes me angry.
That's part of the point. You're supposed to be ingrained so that you want to kill everything.
I already want to kill everything, let alone when I'm actually angry.
Yeah. Neither of them are above 2016, though. We can both agree on that.
But yeah, that was like my only experience, and then like I think my uncle eventually moved to Ireland and like left the Xbox behind, and so like it was at my grand's where I would go like every weekend, and so I had a bit more hands-on time with it, but I wouldn't really have my own experience until 2007, where I would get the Halo 3 limited edition Xbox that obviously came bundled with Halo 3, and that opening cutscene, man, it's just...
It is... I am immensely jealous that you got to like experience this in real time, because again, for Halo specifically, I played the first 4 episodes of CE for a very long time and then did not get into the rest of the series until my adulthood.
Yeah.
But even then, I remember the hype for 3 just being alive at that time, and it was all-encompassing.
Yes, it was.
I'm immensely jealous that you have the 3 version of the 360. Not gonna lie.
Don't know, because it was still early enough in the Xbox 360's lifetime that it got red ringed, and we were gonna send it off, and then like the whatever warranty they had, even the extended warranty thing that they introduced for the Red Ring of aspect of it, ran out, and then I think it, because I was still really young, like I was 10 when I got it, and then, you know, obviously this is like maybe like 11 to 13. I was still like too young to really think like holding on to it meant anything. So like we just sort of, I think, sold it on eBay for like spares and repairs. So I no longer have that model. I only have my like revised, I think it's the S model or whatever now.
Yeah.
Because I've been through 4 Xbox 360s.
I mean, I feel like that's a common experience to people that got, like, especially early 360s, because to move on from the overview of history from the original Xbox to now get into the very brief history of the 360, Microsoft's entire intention when releasing the 360 was just beat the PS3.
Yes.
Beat the PS3 to market, beat it to, like, affordability, beat it in the amount of games, just beat Sony, please.
Because the PS3, for those who maybe aren't too familiar with this history, it was sort of a big misstep for Sony. Not in what they were aiming for, just in how much that original model had in it, and the over-investment in a brand new format that had not had time to really be introduced yet. So the affordability was insane on it. It was far too expensive for what it was.
It was a classic, possibly one of the biggest examples in gaming history of hubris and overconfidence from a gaming manufacturer, because the PS2, if you somehow didn't really like capture it, like, because maybe you weren't there around the time, which makes me feel old, or you just weren't in the gaming sphere, the PS2 was everywhere. It dominated that entire generation, and even dominated a bit of the next generation going forward, because I got my PS2 when I was about 4, and that was around 2005. The Slim model had already come out, because that's the version I had, and like that was my main console, even a few years into the 360 and like the 7th generation, and like you could get by just fine, because the PS2 was still pretty popular. It was still selling by the millions, even like a few years after the 360 came out. Not the PS3 though, because Sony took all that dominance and complete like capture of the market, and we're like, we can do whatever the fuck we want. People will buy it. If we just slap the number 3 at the end of our brand, people are gonna buy it no matter what. Let's put a Blu-ray drive in there. Let's get like 6 USBs. Let's charge them $600 for it.
If we
use 2005,
if we use the same font that Sam Raimi used for Spider-Man,
people love the Sam Raimi movies. He's not gonna make a bad one of those movies at around this time. Oh no.
That thing had like a fucking like SD card reader as well, if I remember correctly, in the original. It had so many, like, because if I remember, the fat model not only had the like visible like USB ports and stuff, it had like a window you could open, and it just had like an array of inputs. I think maybe I'm wrong, but I think there was like a CF card reader in there, and it's like, who the fuck was using CF cards?
It was the ultimate machine, and it was priced as such.
And then, you know, they delayed it a bunch of times, because there's that much in it. It was like non-functional for a long time.
First, it was supposed to come out in, I don't know if it was originally supposed to come out in 2005, but no matter what, one of the first things they announced was that actually it's coming out in spring 2006, which gave Xbox a bit of a jump start on the market, and was by design on Microsoft's end. But then they couldn't quite get the Blu-ray drives right, because Blu-ray was a new technology, and they were, for sure, Blu-ray was going to take home media by storm the same way DVD was, right?
Yeah.
It's not like DVD is still being sold.
It's not like DVDs are going to cling on for another 20 years longer than they need to.
Nah. People want the new disc, so let's get the Blu-ray drive in there. And it wasn't quite working as well, because new technology, so they had to delay it again until November 2006, I
I
want to
think
say.
so, yeah.
Giving Microsoft a full year head start.
Yup.
And Microsoft, funnily enough, was doing the complete opposite of Sony and cheapening the fuck out on making the 360.
Yeah. That thing could have been so capable, but
It wasn't.
it wasn't. God, it wasn't.
They designed the console first before they figured out what they wanted to put in it.
Yeah, which is where all the sort of like red ring stuff comes from. It was a lot of overheating or just like design, like poor design aspect of how everything was configured inside that would cause things to just fail. And so that's how, like, I think the arcade model alone has multiple like different configurations of how the hardware can be laid out within the console.
Yes, because it wasn't only just the fact that they designed it first and then had to put everything in it. It's the fact that they, instead of like manufacturing and getting like the parts in it like all in-house and stuff, they got a bunch of third parties to like scramble all the stuff together, which wasn't, I don't think it is even still common. It's not common.
No, not really. You kind of have like there'll be like a deal between say AMD and you know I was gonna say Nintendo, but it's not. It's Nvidia that they're now with. But that sort of thing happens. But the actual assembly is all sort of proprietary now, which was a big issue with the PS5s during lockdown, where like they couldn't get the storage for it, and so that caused issues with assembly and stuff like that, and then shipping and distribution and blah blah blah.
Microsoft decided to go cheap and just like get like third parties to like do this part of the 360, this part of the 360 and all that, which inevitably led to an infamous hardware malfunction issue known as the Red Ring of Death.
Yes.
Which couldn't accurately be fixed in a fast enough time because so many of those like faults that happened around the time were usually because of different things.
Yes.
Because there are so many points of failure in the original model.
It was a death sentence.
A whole saga.
Yeah, it was a death sentence for your console because it literally wouldn't work if it red ringed. But it was such a generic issue that there was no one-stop cause, and so they had to extend warranties. They had to offer like free shipping back to them to fix it or replacement or.
I have just refreshed my memory on this. Originally, the 360's warranty was standard 90 days from first purchase.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. They had to, when the Red Ring was becoming more of a known issue, they extended that to a year.
Okay.
And then, after the issue kept fucking happening and it became a big infamous thing, they were like, okay, we'll extend the warranty to 3 years now.
Because 3 years is longer than the standard typical warranty. Because for hardware, it's very much a 2-year warranty that you get. And this isn't just a video games thing. This is like an appliance general thing. You buy a kettle, microwave, washing machine, fridge, whatever. It has a 2-year standard warranty covering breakdowns and all this sort of stuff. And the fact that the Xbox only had, or the 360, sorry, only had 90 days is crazy.
From what I had last checked, if I end up being wrong on that, I'm sure someone will correct me, and I hope they do.
Yeah.
Because it's wild to imagine that they thought, oh yeah, just a 90-day warranty. That'll do it.
That's insane.
We're Xbox, baby. We're Microsoft. We can do whatever. There was a whole point where like Peter Moore, he said one of the biggest decisions he had to make, just to bring him up again, was like he had to go up to Microsoft, or like the person communicating between the Xbox division and just general Microsoft, and be like, if our brand is dead, if we don't fix this, like it's just stone dead, we have to extend the warranty, we have to like repackage all this, we have to make a new model just to like fix all the issues. And like I think overall that whole repair saga that they ended up having to like go with cost them like 1.6 billion.
That's insane, because like it's hard to think that one of the most successful generations of video games that has existed, both of the main contenders had such a disastrous time at the start because Microsoft spent all that money just fixing that issue, and then Sony had to redesign and reformat their whole console and take a massive price cut just to come back. And so it's insane that those two dominant consoles had such insane knocks at the start of their life that they actually persisted far beyond the length of time they should have.
The 360, both Microsoft and PlayStation in that generation fucked up in the complete opposite ends of the spectrum, and were still fucking killers.
Yeah.
Of a generation. Like Xbox could afford to like do all that because Sony was fucking up even bigger. Like, say, yeah, sure, the Xbox was like broke a good chunk of the time, but like at least you could buy one.
Yeah, exactly. Like the PlayStation wasn't even out yet.
No. And like people were already like, well, I just can't afford that, so I'll just get a 360, or broke, I'll just get another one.
Yeah.
And I say they weren't buying them. Like Microsoft did, thankfully, give like free like replacements or repairs like long after like the saga happened. Just because again, to not kill the brand, because that was important back then.
Exactly. And like people are gonna invest in the library too, and it wasn't like now where it's like most of the same games kind of exist across platforms. There was a lot more exclusives, especially for the 360 back then. So it's like you weren't gonna just try and rebuild your entire library on a new console that cost $600.
Along with the fact that like another thing about the PS3 was that it was, because it was so cutting edge, and because Sony were like so overconfident, they were like, we can do whatever the hell we want, we're gonna make a super box. It was really hard to develop for.
No, they fucked up because they went with just the weirdest architecture they could have possibly thought of, and it wasn't actually any more powerful. It was just complicated for no fucking reason, because half of what the console could do was not actually available to the developers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That thing
I'm always confused on what like the nitty gritty of like what actually was it, because I always think in my head that the PS3 was like on average more powerful, but because no one could really develop for it, it never really shone through.
It's in a technical sense, it is more raw performance wise, more slightly more powerful, and I think it has more resources for the most part. But because of its architecture and what was actually available on a developmental level, it was just hard to actually get the same performance as the Xbox out of it, because the Xbox was just kind of straightforward to work with. And what was there to be worked with. It wasn't like Sony going, actually, no, you can't use half of the RAM. You can't use half of the processors. You can't access half of the GPU because we're not doing anything with it, but we're doing something with it.
We're cooking. Trust us, bro. We're gonna get something for this. Just, trust.
People are gonna love PlayStation Home, and that shit's just got to sit in the background the entire time.
PlayStation Home. It's gonna be a bestseller. Everyone's up for PlayStation Home. I didn't even know it was a thing for a good few years. Not gonna lie.
Oh God.
So yeah, even with the 360, after cheaping out, after making it as fast as possible, after still using a DVD drive for the games, which caused some of those later games, like infamously Wolfenstein, 4 discs.
Yes. Yeah. Oof. I remember Dead Space came on 2, LA Noire came on 3.
GTA 5 infamously had an install disc.
That was the start of something awful across multiple generations.
Yes, it was.
Final Fantasy 13 had 3 discs as well. I don't remember too many other ones that I had having multiple discs. But yeah,
I thankfully didn't have, I don't think, any games that had multiple discs aside from GTA 5.
LA Noire was really cool because like you would get to there was something about swapping discs that I found really cool. At least in a sense of like you would sort of know, or you would get a sense of progress from it. You know, there's a part in Dead Space 2, it's where you get into an elevator to, like, I think go to the second half of the game, and it, like, asks you to change the disc. So you're like, oh, I've got through a lot of this game. I you know, there's only however much left to play, I guess. And then, like, I think the way they structured it in LA Noire was that once you completed a division, you would have to swap the discs, and I thought that was like
Makes
a
sense.
cool way to structurally do it, whereas it's almost like episodic. So it's like, oh, I can stop here because I'm finished with this episode, so I can hop into the next episode another time with that disc type thing.
Yeah.
It's not functionally great, but you know.
No, I get it, especially from that time where I feel like the feeling I would have gotten from that would be like, you know, swapping out discs for a TV show. Like, you've finished this block of episodes, okay, the next block is on the next disc. This could be a good place to stop, but we're getting through the season.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand it completely. Yeah. The 360, even though with all that, my main point to go all the way back to that was just, it was still somehow felt like the strongest console between the two of them. The Wii was doing its whole thing and Nintendo was completely dominating the casual market.
Yeah.
We're adding the Wii, then it's not even a contest, is
it? The Wii was a special kind of console. It wasn't competing, it was just sort of vibing its way through. And it worked, you know. We can't
Nintendo conquered the nursing homes and the family room, and that's all they needed to do.
They had a dominance on the fucking plastic extra shit you needed to play games. Guitar Hero fucking thrived on that console, even though it's the objectively worst fucking design for every system. You have to put the fucking Wii remote in that guitar. Like, why?
That's how I played Guitar Hero mainly for like a decade.
Same. I literally, outside of the one they released for the PS4, was a World Tour, which redesigned like how you play it, and it's not as good. Yeah, I only ever played it on the Wii. All of my versions are only on the Wii. But yeah, I hated the fucking cutout for the Wii remote. It was dumb.
Yeah. Like, Xbox really cornered the market of like games you play like either online multiplayer like COD or whatever, like just by yourself. But the Wii sort of like dominated you bring this out at parties, like family get-togethers, or just like, you know, for the kids to like distract themselves with. I should know. I was one of the kids. Not to say that we didn't have fantastic games. You still had your Zeldas. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are still, I think, my favorite Mario games.
Yeah.
Possibly of all time. I don't know, 64 was really good as well. But so there was good stuff in there. It's, you know, Nintendo had a whole other market they were going for.
What kind of baffles me, you know, talking about the sort of like redesigning of the 360, at least internally, is that all of that time and money that they spent doing that just to not make it, like, you know, fucking fail, they never once thought, hey, let's maybe put a Wi-Fi adapter in this thing and not make you buy a $30 add-on thing that you plug in the back and it just fucking clips on to the console.
What are you, insane? No, we gotta have the Xbox have its bunny ears. It's not right without its little bunny ears at the back.
They only added that fucking the actual Wi-Fi into the console itself in 2011, 2012, like the end of its lifespan, when they redesigned it for that stupid S model that I'm calling it stupid. I actually love that model so much because it was my main one for a long time. But that one died, and I'm pissed because that one is not the same. They're both black, but that one's glossy. My one was matte. I don't like the glossy one. They get scratched up and fingerprinted to shit.
But the gloss was the vibe.
No, because the gloss wasn't the main one. I bought that thing when it launched, and it was matte. Matte was the vibe. That was the Xbox's brand at the time.
Can we get an edit of like Wii Sports Matt every time you say Matt? It was Matt.
Glossy was Sony's fucking shit for, you know, the PS3, and then they decided, actually, for the PS4, what if we just did both?
Yeah. No. It was the PS3's vibe for a while, but then they made their slim model and was like, nah, we're going straight to matte now.
Oh yeah, that's right. And then they're like, what if we had the best of both worlds? Except no, because it's just like a little corner of this console.
And right at the end, they were like, you know what, PS4 is like coming out. You know what, fuck it, let's just get a tray
Yeah.
that we slide on top of the console, and that I hate that. I hate the super
I'm
slim.
so
PS3
glad
so
I don't
much.
have the super slim. So glad.
It looks so cheap to me.
Yeah, that thing would be a nightmare to put anywhere. I would not know. Like, you're not meant to stand the slim model. I don't think actually you're meant to stand up any PS3 model on its side, but you can, and it works.
Yeah.
I have the slim model next to me, standing next to my PS5. It works. It saves space.
Yeah.
What the fuck do you do with the super slim? Because that thing, no, it's not going to stand up.
It slides. I've seen it in the wild. If I don't know, this is gonna be just me, but like for some reason it feels like a enlarged like McDonald's toy to like use. It's not right. It's funny how the PS3 sort of degraded in like top edge quality as it went on and as the models went on.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't worry. We're gonna revitalize the 360 though about 5 years into its launch with the Kinect.
Oh,
Everybody loves the Kinect.
I never had a Kinect, and I've never had a Kinect on the Xbox
I
One.
did.
So thank God.
Because we've discussed this, I think, before in like our own chats. I was, again, a child at the time, and to me, the Kinect was the coolest fucking thing on earth. You don't have to like hold anything. You can just point at stuff or just say things and the console will react. This is the future. It never fucking worked.
I think I mentioned
it worked for a little bit when you played a game for it, but it never worked for long.
Yeah. I think I spoke about this a little bit when we were talking about it before, but like that was the point where I think Siri might have just been added to the iPhone, or maybe the Siri was just a little after the Kinect came out.
Siri was, if I remember correct, Siri was added in the iPhone 4S, and that came out 2011. The Kinect was a year beforehand.
Okay, so they both sort of came out round about the same time. So this was where like voice command was sort of, they were kind of trying to push it and make it cool, and it sort of seemed
sci-fi.
Like a good idea, because all of the sci-fi movies had voice-controlled stuff, and so it's like, hey, it's like that vision of the future that we've been fed for the last 40 odd, no, well, not at that point, but like 30 or 20 years at that point.
I remember being told back when I was like 9, and like the Kinect had probably between being announced and being released, I remember being like in a game store, and like just one of the workers was talking about it and being like, oh yeah, they're gonna add an add-on to the 360 that lets you, like, you can just say Xbox on and it'll just turn itself on. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. Fucking liar.
Yeah,
didn't do that.
the sort of like aspect of that was pushed really hard, and it seemed really cool, and then you actually saw it, and you saw how it was used, and even that fucking demo that they did that was sort of like a bit of false advertising still looked lame as hell. The actual reality of the Kinect is just lame.
But at the time it was so cool, and it was the future, and it was still a success.
Somehow, I don't know anyone that actually owned it. Well, aside from you, but you know what I mean. Like I
am waving my hand, going hi.
At the time, the contemporary time that it was relevant and new, I knew no one who owned it, even though pretty much everyone I knew owned a 360. I only knew like a handful of people that had a PS3.
I will say I was the only one that knew that had a Kinect. I think apart from maybe one of my friends had it like at the time, but still, that's like one person out of like however many of my friends at the time had a 360, because again, the thing about the 360 of that generation, it was the console your friends had. So somehow it was a success. Yeah. Going by numbers.
Yeah, that seemed baffling to me. But then, Zootopia 2 just came out, and somehow it's the fourth fastest or biggest opening ever, and I didn't even know it had come out. How?
Yeah, maybe we both just live under rocks most of the time.
No, the trailer dropped like 3 weeks ago, and somehow now the movie's out and people have been to see it. How?
Families and kids, man.
But usually you hear people discussing like, oh, I'm going to take the kids to see, because unfortunately I am that age where I work in a place where people have kids and they talk about taking the kids to see Notorious type thing.
Revealing your age there.
You know, I'm almost 30. It's gonna happen eventually.
Oh.
But yeah, anyway, the Kinect being a big enough seller that they were like, yeah, let's make this a mandatory requirement of the Xbox One is...
Next console built in. Yeah. Everyone's gonna love it. Everyone already loves it, so, you know, if we just force them on it, and, you know, it always has to be on, and it always has to be connected, and, you know, what's that? Snowden leaks. What does that mean?
It's kind of...
this year of 2013?
It's kind of crazy, because, like, the Snowden leaks happened, they were a big deal, and now we've just sort of carried on our lives as if we don't just carry these things, you know, mics,
well, you know,
cameras.
What are we gonna do? Our civil liberties mean nothing.
They have literal facial recognition in them now.
It's convenient though, so.
There's a little indicator that tells you if something's using your mic or camera or something. It's like, okay, but what if Apple's doing it? What if they're using it?
Yeah.
They don't need to activate that.
Sometimes it just turns on. I wonder why.
Anyway,
always reject any permissions that an app tries to push on you.
Oh yeah, ask to track? Absolutely not. Fuck off.
Yeah. Tell that legitimate interest to legitimately go fuck itself.
Discord on my phone doesn't even have access to the mic. So, you know, I ain't taking risks.
That, you know, that's smart.
But yeah, the
Microsoft was all in on that though.
Yes. But the 360 era is kind of like, it's such like a, I think for us and our generation, a defining thing, because it was around for was it 8-9 years? 2013.
Yeah.
So yeah, about 8 years, which at that time had been like the longest console generation ever. And I think
what we remember, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the closest it had come was the PS4 and Xbox One kind of persisted around the same length of time.
Yeah.
Into the release of the PS5 and Series S and X, but it's where a lot of people's childhoods exist right now, because
it's the generation that really sort of shaped like what gaming really would be up to like today. Like it was the generation that Xbox Live started like at the later end of the original Xbox's like lifespan, like with Halo 2. That was
2004.
Thing, but Xbox Live didn't really kick off and become like an online gaming as a whole didn't really become a thing until this generation. Like I remember like first getting Xbox Live to play multiplayer Modern Warfare 2.
Same.
When that was the biggest thing in the world.
Same.
Everyone did. I remember the original thing I got Xbox Live for, it still had the box of Modern Warfare 2 on it for like how you like set it up and stuff. It was huge. People got Xbox Live just to play COD.
Yeah. And it cost $30 a year at that time, which is kind of crazy because PSN was just free. It just was free.
It's funny you're talking about this. I've just gotten an email like in the last like couple of hours of PSN updating me for renewing.
Oh wow, mine's is like June.
Yeah.
I think May-June time.
Yeah. There goes that £60.
Yeah. And you're only getting just those 2 games a month, which I honestly rarely ever actually play, and if most of the time now I just already have them.
Yeah, I mean sometimes I get gold. I'll always be happy for Mass Effect.
Oh, I mean, for Xbox Live Gold, yeah, no, 100%. There was a lot of great games. I'm talking about like PS Plus right now. It's like you're
I
getting
mean,
those
that was
two
that,
games.
that's what I was saying. I got that's how I first played Mass Effect. If
Oh,
you remember,
yeah.
right? I got the Legendary Edition because of
Oh, of
PS4,
course,
but,
yeah.
like,
I'm forgetting. When I hear Mass Effect, I immediately cast back to.
no, you're right. You should, because that was the generation that had it.
Because that's where I played it. Well, no,
Hmm.
I tried Mass Effect 1. I've still never beat Mass Effect 1. That's the crazy thing. I've only played
That's
2 and 3.
sacrilege. That's sacrilege to me.
I immediately jumped to 2 after trying 1 out for a while, and I loved 2 most of 3. But no,
We could do a whole episode
Yes.
on Mass Effect, but we got to move on.
The point is, 360 for specifically you and me in this instance, very formative time.
Absolutely.
You know, Call of Duty was huge. Halo 3, ODST, Reach,
A golden era
Golden Era.
that then ended.
Halo 4 also was out. It existed.
I remember the hype for Halo
Same.
4. I remember everyone being so excited, and then it came out, and it was like, oh.
I'm looking at my limited edition collector's version of it right now, and I'm, yep, I got that.
Yes, yeah, you did.
Yep.
How'd that work out?
You know, I've played it.
It's fine. It's even good on a first playthrough.
Yeah, that first playthrough where you kind of don't know what's going and you aren't thinking too much or too hard about it. And then you realize half of what it's actually, you know, trying to do is in a trilogy of books. Yeah.
And that sentiment has stuck with them for all this time, hasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I remember it must be not long after I got my not my original Xbox, but my like later ones. I think there was like a 2 or 3 year period where I was just persisting on the PS2. But that was when I played stuff like GTA, sort of like all the sort of bigger PS2 titles.
Clank?
I don't think I played Ratchet and Clank. I never had those. My first Ratchet and Clank was Rift Apart on PS5. Insanely good game. I still need to play the originals. I've played the first one.
I'm bringing up Ratchet and Clank. I've not actually played like any of them. I just know it was like a big. It was a big like series that started on PS2. I need to play Rift Apart. I'm sure I've got it on PS Plus somewhere.
It's fun. But yeah, I have an insane amount of hours just in San Andreas alone. But so then I got my like another Xbox, like one of the white arcade ones, but it had like a one of the bigger hard drives. And not long after that, my mum was like at like a charity auction thing, and she got Gears of War 2 for real cheap.
Damn.
And I remember that again was like such a formative and not revolutionary. I don't want to give Gears that much credit because it's
like
good.
It was huge at the time, but like I never played Gears, and I don't think I missed too much of that generation by not playing Gears.
Yeah, but what I will give Gears credit for is that 1 and 2 came out. I played it with 2 first, then went back, played 1, and there was that wait period for Gears 3 because Gears 2 came out in I think 2008, and then it was like 2011 or 2012 that Gears 3 would come out near the end of the 360 lifespan. And that in that wait, there was all the hype, but I remember discovering that there were books for Gears of War, and I remember that was sort of what kind of made me like reading outside of school. Like I didn't like reading because this is a thing with reading at school, is that it kind of makes you hate reading. It makes you hate the aspect of reading as a hobby and as for fun, because it's sort of a soul crushing experience to do it in school.
There's something about the fact that you were required to like read a story at this amount in this way and this kind of like mindset that just kind of kills it.
Yeah, and so I remember picking up the first Gears book and just being engrossed in it. And again, it's like Fall of Reach, where it's not super crucial to understanding Gears 1, but it sets the field up amazingly for those characters and for the world that they discuss that existed before the games take place. And then there's also Jacinto's, there's the second book, sorry, I'm trying not to name them just to save confusion. I'm just going for the actual number of the book. There's the second book, which takes place in between 1 and 2, which again, not required, but is such a great bridge between the story of those games, where it's like, say 6 to 12 months go by between the end of the first and second game. And it's like that fill-in of the time between 1 and 2 is really good. And then there's like a few books that exist in between, again, 2 and 3, but the length of time between 2 and 3 meant that there's like, I think 2 books, and those are, again, really good, really engaging books and set up a great field for where 3 is. And it's that sort of thing where I was like, oh, I actually enjoy reading as an experience. And that's what I'll give Gears credit for.
Yeah, and you know, that's gonna mean something. Yeah, like that's what supplementary material is supposed to be. Like, it shouldn't have to be a requirement to enjoy a game, and the plot threads in that game shouldn't have to be resolved in a book series and not the next game. 343.
Yes. It's hilarious that the Forerunner trilogy exists the way it does, when the character you're following for the most of the book excuse me
Excused.
for most of the book is not even the didact that we encounter.
The wrong didact.
In Halo. He's the lesser didact, the clone didact, the guy he just co-opts and goes, you're the didact now, here is all my memories and personality, you're just another living human, a living Forerunner who I'm just gonna ignore the rights of. And it's
every time you try and describe the Forerunner trilogy to me, and I'm sorry, there are people that probably like those books, but I just can't care to ever read them.
I like them for the peek into the Forerunner society and like history and stuff. And I will never forget, I can't remember if it's the second or third book, ends. It's read by Ewan Morton, who's the voice of Guilty Spark. And you kind of listen to it and you go, I recognize this voice. And you just sort of like, you maybe look it up and you go, oh, he's the voice of Guilty Spark. Okay, that makes sense. You just kind of...
Like, that's neat.
Yeah, you go, that's neat. And you just kind of go about your day, and I'm listening to the book. And I remember I was coming home really late from Edinburgh one night, and I was near the end of the book, and I'm on the train. And the end of the book has a part where he's voicing his character. And he's been like captured by the Forerunners and all this stuff going on. And it gradually just fades in to Guilty Spark's voice, and then he does the I am guilty what's it he said, what's his introductory line? It's like, hello, I am the monitor of installation 04, I am 343 Guilty Spark. And it fades into that, and you're like, oh shit, this character that I've been following for this book is who becomes Guilty Spark. I was like, that's such an insanely cool thing to do. Why did you tie it into Halo 4, though?
Yeah, like, that doesn't even make sense because he dies in Halo 3.
No, okay, so this is like him becoming
I know, but like, if we're tying it to like one of the games, you think it would be 3.
Yeah, it's one of those things where like, you know, I've been reading the Hunger Games recently, and I just finished the Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes, and I kind of complained my entire way through it of like, why are we reading this specific part of the story? Why are we following this specific character?
Why are we here?
And why are we tying it so much to things that happen way in the future? And it's sort of that thing of like, to do that, like, here is how this character, unbeknownst to you until you reach the very end, becomes this character you know in the future, is a cool idea. It's just, why are we doing it in this specific story? Why are we tying it to something that ultimately it has no bearing on, in the sense of Guilty Spark's dead by the time this story is important, because it's setting up the fourth game, or it's setting up a character in the 4th game, and it's like, okay, but Guilty Spark's dead, so this could have just been a standalone novel looking at Forerunner society and story, and not really tie it into like the Forerunner flood conflict that ended them. And like, if you want to do that, sure, do it from a different angle and just show that this character becomes Guilty Spark. You don't need to make it entirely like, hey, read this and then you're gonna understand Halo 4. Just not entirely, because even that can rescue it.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I still have difficulty really trying to figure out what the plot of 4 really was outside of purely Chief and Cortana's business.
Yeah, save Cortana.
Yeah, just save Cortana.
Yeah,
things are happening. It's not important.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, the
360 era.
Yes, a very formative part of our lives. I wouldn't say necessarily define my video game taste, because I think my video game taste has definitely changed and matured over like the last 10 years.
Definitely a part of the foundation, though.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it at least gave me the long-standing relationship to video games that I will just carry for the rest of time. To, well, obviously not the rest of time, but the rest of my life at least.
Agreed.
And then, you know, they announced the Xbox One.
Oh boy, do we want to talk about just the announcement itself?
So, yeah, this was a big thing.
We were both there.
Yeah.
We hadn't met yet, but we were both, you know, witnessing this. I was like 12 at the time. I was able to follow video game news online now. I was old enough to sort of like be able to see all this happening live, and boy howdy, what a shit show.
Yeah. The main takeaway everyone had was, you can't trade your Xbox One games? Why do I want to watch TV through the Xbox One? I already have a TV.
Can we get to the games? You can. Okay, I can watch Netflix on it. I can watch Netflix on a lot of things. Why do I have to watch it on this?
I can already watch Netflix on my Xbox 360.
Are we going to talk about, you know, the next Halo or the next games? Let's talk about the NFL.
Yeah.
Let's talk about The Hobbit.
Hey.
Not the Hobbit game, not the Lego games even, just, you know, the Hobbit movies that are doing very well right now.
Hey, take this Kinect.
I don't want the Kinect. You will take the Kinect.
Kinect.
What do you mean I can't turn the console off?
Kinect integration will continue until morale improves. Until it didn't.
It didn't improve. Darn, it's not improving.
Oh god, the One release is insane because it's so overshadowed by the PS4 announcement, simply because they actually had not only games to show, but literally just went, yeah, you can just trade your games. Who gives a shit, man?
Yes, you see what they're doing? We're not gonna do that, and they won. They won the whole generation, like right out the gate, just by saying, we're not gonna do what they're trying to do. We don't know what they're doing. We might do some of what they're doing actually, like later on. But you know, it's bad right now. Because
it's crazy that the 360 generation had really strong exclusives for that console, and Sony had a lot of one-offs. It was mainly Uncharted kind of throwing the whole thing as a through line to the whole thing.
You had sort of interesting games, but they were all similar type of games as well. Like a standout for me for the PS3 that I remember being interested in, never played, but like sort of defines what PS3 was at the time. But you know, Infamous. That was a cool, interesting one, and Prototype. Prototype was not exclusive. It wasn't?
No, because I had Prototype. I had Prototype 2 for the 360.
Why did I don't know why I always tie Prototype with the PS3 in my mind.
Because it looks and sounds really similar to Infamous.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are basically just two different types of games.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were connected in the development cycle and I've just forgotten.
I wouldn't be surprised. There's some strong similarities to them for me.
Yeah. So yeah, Infamous, basically.
Yeah.
Right at the tail end, Last of Us.
Yeah. there was not a strong first-party lineup for the PS3
No.
during that era, and I think that's, it really meant the 360 carried itself on its exclusives too after a while. Is it's like, what are you gonna buy into? One, what do your friends have? Two, what's got the better games? And like Halo, Gears, Forza, those all existed only on the 360, and there was no equivalent on the PS3 to at least an arcade racer. There was no shooter like that.
I have 2 big exclusive games I remember from the PS3 era specifically. No, 3 actually. 1, Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yep.
2, God of War.
Oh yeah.
And 3, Little Big Planet.
Wow.
You remember Little Big Planet?
I do. Never really got into it, even when I got the PS4.
I had the second one. I was not creative as a child. And the story mode was kind of just fine.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's it. That's it for the PS3.
the God of War and MGS4, that was the only 2 of those series on that console. There was no other ones that generation. Which, I've said recently about The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious. But my main point here being is that going into the PS4 generation, Microsoft never showed off like many games at that point when it launched. When it did launch, and then sort of just after launch, there was the Master Chief Collection was announced, which is sort of like, okay, we can play all of these. The only driving part of this is 2 Anniversary. That's really your big marketing thing for this.
Yeah.
And
it also launched fucking horribly. Let's not forget.
And then 5 got a teaser like a year later and still took a while to come out. And 5 is 5.
I got a teaser that had nothing to do with the final game.
Yeah. And then 5 is 5. But by that point, like, Sony had tons of stuff. One, The Last of Us had already been ported, and that was the biggest game of the end of the PS3 generation. And really the only thing that probably stopped it selling even more than it already did sell an insane amount of is the fact that it wasn't on the PS4 yet.
Yeah.
And then, you had things like Bloodborne. I'm blanking on the beginning of the generation. Holy shit.
Well, again, they a lot of them were just coasting on the fact that it wasn't the Xbox One, and people were just buying it because of that.
But they already had like strong exclusive lineups at that point. Like there was
How
enough.
early was Uncharted 4?
Oh, Uncharted 4 was later. That was 2017, I believe. You had The Order, which kind of flopped, but it was something they were pushing. They were marketing that a lot, whether it ended up being good or not.
Yeah.
You had Gravity Rush 2. Infamous was also something that they were. Killzone. Shadowfall's not the best one in the series. It was a launch title, and it looks great. Yeah. I'll give it that. It's a really good showcase for the console. But yeah, they were pushing first party games. Is sort of what I'm saying. Yeah. There was a refinement in quality for Sony at that point in time, and it would pay off.
They were learning from their mistakes and pushing their strengths.
Yeah, and it would pay off well later in the second half of the generation, where you would have things like God of War. You would have Uncharted 4, but also the Nathan Drake collection would come out, which was a big thing because it also really refined the first 2 games to be playable, because those first 2 games have real weird control schemes. And then Spider-Man was also a big thing at the end of the PS4 generation. And what did Sony show for it? Not Sony, Microsoft show for all of that during that entire generation? Nothing. They released like
I
3
can't think of a
Forzas.
single thing.
They released like 3 Forzas, but Forza is Forza. And at that point, the crew had come out, and like Need for Speed had sort of had its mini renaissance. So there was answers to the arcade racing game that Forza Horizon was. So you didn't need Forza, and now they've released Forza Horizon on the PS5.
Yeah. The PS4, like, that whole generation was just, and I'm gonna keep pushing it over and over again. That launch was so disastrous. It caused such an exodus from the 360 to the PS4, which I think both of us can really speak for. Like, we've talked about how big we were on the 360, but like, I got a PS4 like 2 years after it released, and instead of like an Xbox One, just because I still remembered at that time just how awful Xbox looked at that time. And a lot of people did, and just by the time like the infrastructure, especially just like in the PSN and like online stuff, like you were really this was definitely the 360, the 7th generation was basically the start of that and the real refinement of it, but like the 8th generation specifically is when you really grounded yourself into what ecosystem you were a part of at that point. So that made less and less sense to switch. And speaking for me personally, once you had games like Spider-Man as like a permanent exclusive, you know, Sony owned, it was over. I had no reason to ever get an Xbox after that, because I can't play Spider-Man on my Xbox, but I can play Spider-Man on my PlayStation.
And then what would happen in 2020? The Master Chief Collection would get released on the PC.
And thus begins the other reason on why never to get an Xbox in this day and age.
Why would you get it why would you get an Xbox when you could just buy it on a PC? Because like, at least with the MCC specifically, anniversary's kind of system intensive, even if you've got like a sort of medium range PC built in the last 5-6 years. But like, all of those games are running the originals under the hood.
Yeah.
So like, you could just play 2 without the anniversary graphics, and it's gonna run amazingly. It's gonna run far better than the original PC port of 2, that's for sure.
I mean, that goes without saying. We've not talked about anything about games for Windows Live and how that's fucked up so much stuff.
Yeah, that's, I think, a topic for another time. It's very much its own thing, and it's sort of mostly been picked apart, thankfully, now. You certainly don't need it for Fallout 3. I remember you had to basically fucking go and hunt down that launcher just to try and get Fallout 3 to work at one point in time.
Yeah. But yeah, and Xbox continued to shoot themselves in the foot throughout that whole generation, because they tried to fix the problems at launch, like the things everybody was concerned about. They ditched the Kinect. They brought more and more backwards compatibility in, which is really the only reason to get an Xbox, is that backwards compatibility. So many... I will give them the fact that the best way to play 360 games right now is through a Series X.
Yeah, I'm not buying a $500 console just for that, though.
No, nobody is, but you know, it's something they have.
Sure.
You can play Sonic Unleashed without the frame rate shitting the bed in certain levels. Oh, hold on, what's this? I've got here a PC recompile. Oh, well, fuck. Well, there goes that one. There was just nothing to really incentivize you to get an Xbox since the one's come out.
Yeah, and backwards compatibility was such a late game addition to the one that there was no coming back. And it was a very... I don't think anyone actually realizes this if they weren't in the ecosystem at the time. It was slow. It was a slow burn of a thing to get backwards compatibility. That list now, really long. It is really long, and this is after they said they weren't adding any more to it back in 2019 or something like that. But it's a long list. When it came out, when it was added to the Xbox One, I think there were 20 games on that list.
My mind is saying like 22. I feel like I can see the graphic with like the one and like the game covers like around it and stuff, and it's like 22 is the number in my head, but that could be wrong.
And then it was a slow process for them to add more to it. Because of the way they did it. I think every game runs in its own standalone instance of an emulator rather than like which seems crazy because I'm pretty sure that's how the PS1 games work on PS5, and that's not, they don't seem to have too much trouble with that right now. Some games are slow to come out, if only because like a lot of what's coming out is third-party stuff, and it's like, you know, getting the deals with Capcom and come on, Konami, I'm fucking begging you, Konami. You know, that stuff takes time. That's other parties involved.
Konami can offer you a Master Collection Volume 1 release that doesn't have a Volume 2 release of the Metal Gear games.
I want Silent Hill, Konami.
You're not getting Silent Hill. You're not getting your Silent Hill. Half of Konami probably still thinks it's a dead franchise, even though they've made a new game for it, finally.
They made like 3 games, all coming out within like a year of each other because they were so determined to go, this franchise is not dead.
There's no demand for classic Silent Hill, despite the fact that the franchise has been stronger than it has been for over a decade and a half now. Arguably 2 decades.
But yeah, the 360, and at the time the original Xbox was not part of it at all, and I don't think it was even a whisper of an idea. It was
which is insanity.
Yeah, it was so slow. It took so much time to get like a decent list of games, and like that's such a huge detriment to what could have been a selling factor for the console. But with how long it took to add to the console, too many people were already embedded in the PS4 at that point. They had built libraries, they had shifted, and then it's
like backwards compatibility came in for the one when, like 2015, 2016?
I think it was 2017.
17, yeah, because I consider myself a slightly late to the PS4 party, and I still only got in like 2015, late, like Christmas 2015, but you know.
Oh, it was, so it was June 2015 for the Xbox preview program, and then the dashboard update containing backwards compatibility was released publicly on November 12th, and then it wasn't until 2017 that the original Xbox was added into the program. And yeah, it was, you know, there wasn't a huge amount of games at launch. 104.
Too little, too late.
Yeah, they added to it, but it's too late. It's you're not getting anyone over at that point.
Most people had already gotten or were getting PS4s at that point, and once they were in the PS4, it was over.
Yeah, that's it.
And like, I had a point, but I've lost my mind. No, don't be sorry. That was my brain just having a fart. But yeah, once like what was the incentive to get a one? It keeps coming back to what was the incentive at that time for people who were interested in getting a games console.
Yeah, and this is also the fact that like backwards compatibility at that time, it didn't boast the same benefits that it does now if you're buying a Series X, which is that you get sometimes either so actually I'm getting this slightly muddled. The Xbox One X actually had some benefits, but that was such a late game edition and also was discontinued before the console's life ended. Yeah, they were like actually just buy the One S, which is like what? Anyway, the Xbox One X boasted some benefits in that you could play with like better textures in some games, but there was no real tangible benefit.
Oh boy.
Until the Xbox Series X, where you're getting like games that have work put into them to have patches to run better, to have higher FPS. And it's like, okay, I'm still not switching to your console. I'm not going to an entirely new library of games that you're not really adding to because you don't have exclusive games. Why would I pass up the chance to play Spider-Man 2 just to play Assassin's Creed 2 with a slightly less shitty frame rate, except that's probably not in it because Ubisoft don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why skip like Spider-Man 2 or any other like the Insomniac games, or even just like Final Fantasy again?
Yeah.
Rift Apart, any other of like the timed exclusives that Sony was like basically getting at in this generation basically, it's like, why get an Xbox when all the games I want are gonna be stuck on PlayStation for at least a year?
Yeah.
Like, most recently, Silent Hill 2 Remake, timed exclusive. That has now come out on Xbox. I didn't even hear about it.
I only seen the Digital Foundry review of it pop up on my phone and I was like, oh, that was just like a rumor to me. I didn't realize it was actually happening.
Yeah, barely even announced. It just sort of dropped.
Some people were so convinced that was going to come with a Born from a Wish announcement.
I wanted it. Look, we're going into another topic, but like, I want it. I want that DLC so bad. It's still possible. There's still time. It's just like Separate Ways with RE4. I just gotta wait a little longer. It'll happen. Half-Life 3 tomorrow.
Oh god, yeah, that's a whole thing that's somehow reared its head even more than usual. People.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Another topic for another time. But like, are we now moving on to just like the X portion? They sort of bleed together. The one and the X portion.
They do. Because again, it's the series is just a continuation of the one, in that it's them half-heartedly trying to correct mistakes, because they give the whole sort of like extra benefits to the backwards compatibility library. They buy new studios, except half of those new studios aren't putting out exclusive games. They're still putting out cross-platform games, which is good, because I would actually go and kill Phil Spencer if Doom was an exclusive.
That's the thing. Like, they went out of their way to buy all these like studios because they were like, well, we don't have any killer apps for like our consoles anymore. We've kind of fucked up Halo, and Gears is, sad to say, basically a dead series at this point.
No, they've just spent a lot of time working on the next one, because E-Day comes out next year, I think. But that was announced like 2 years ago at this point.
Yeah, like, from an outside observer, and I'm sorry, I'm very much the uninformed non-Gears player here.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like a dead franchise.
If they stopped just re-releasing 1 and actually committed to remastering 2 and 3, you know, maybe it wouldn't seem as dead. But they just keep re-releasing the first game.
Yeah, you like the first game. It's the best.
No,
game?
It's not. It's absolutely not. 1 exists just to start the thing. 2 is arguably the best in the franchise.
You want to play 1 again, though, right?
No.
Yeah, they bought all these studios to get like a library that people care about, but then obviously, if they made them exclusive to Xbox, there would be riots.
This is the thing. They had like a handful of really strong studios that they could have utilized better. I mean, they shut down Tango Gameworks not long after they released Hi-Fi Rush, and we're talking about doing a Hi-Fi Rush 2. Insane. Like, what's his name? Shit, the RE guy. Oh my god. Shinji Wakami, yeah. Like, he set up that whole studio, worked on like a whole extra game that he did not intend to work on, just to make sure that that studio existed and lived and had new talent and was doing something. And then Microsoft killed it. Oh my god. And then you've got like just the fact that rather than using teams that they had, or going in partnership with outside teams, or killing projects that were worked on with outside teams, like Scalebound with Platinum Games, They bought massive, well-established multi-party studios that put out games on other platforms, games that were defining games. They bought ZeniMax, who released Fallout, Doom, and the Elder Scrolls, and then they were like, actually, wait, no, we can't make any of these exclusive because that would actually just kill the entire thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it makes it. Why did they buy Activision, man?
Yeah, they bought these studios, realized they can't do anything advantageous with them, and at the same time have been actively killing them at the same time.
Yeah, because they
by
reported that
and canceling shit.
They reported that sales figures for Call of Duty were down on the Xbox. And it's like, yeah, you added it to Game Pass. Of course that's going to affect the multi-billion-dollar day one launch sales.
Fucking Game Pass. We haven't even mentioned that yet.
Again, I feel like it's a whole other topic because it's such a can of worms to pick apart, and it's only got more complicated.
Very basically, it went from like a pretty good deal to let's raise the price again,
Yep.
like every other fucking streaming service.
Because Gears 5, when that came out, I did not play it on an Xbox. At that point, PC Games Pass was sort of in its earliest stages, and they were doing deals where you could get it for 99 pence for like 3 months. So I took that, and I played Gears 5. It's a great game. I now own it, because I like buying my games. But there was then no incentive for me to pick it up or touch it for a long time after that, because I'd play the story and then was like, why would I go buy the game at like full price at this point? You know, I got it real cheap at some point, but that's got to have affected Gears 5 sales massively.
Absolutely, yeah.
And again, that also just ties back into the point of like, why would I? Again, I had the Xbox One, but why would I buy the game for an Xbox One when I can pay 99 pence to play it on PC?
Yeah. So like, yeah, no shit. And like they keep, again, and not to say that layoffs are a Microsoft exclusive thing, they've been an industry-wide thing for the last few years, but like Microsoft feel so egregious about it because they've purposely been purchasing and like getting all these what you'd think would be exclusivity stuff, but then the only thing they're doing with them is killing the studios and like laying people off and just canceling projects. Again, at the start of this episode, we talked about Perfect Dark. That seemed interesting. That would have been really cool, and it got cancelled for no reason.
Yeah. They'd spent so much time working on it, considering how long ago it was announced. It swapped studios at one point. That was announced as a Crystal Dynamics game and then moved to a completely different studio, but was still in development for a long ass time despite that studio change. Like, to then kill that for no outward reason and to just lay off the entire staff of that studio and shut it down, that's insane. I don't get why you would think, oh, this is good for gaming business to not release any games.
Yeah, you know, that's what you want, because it really feels like Xbox simultaneously wants to win in the gaming market while not wanting to be a gaming company.
Exactly. Yeah, it makes little sense to me what their current aim is, because it's clear that they kind of want to get out of the hardware side of it and go.
We're in like the final days of like Sega stage from what it feels like at the time of recording.
But what is their aim beyond that? They own all these studios, and so it's like, I guess there's enough for them to stay afloat, but it's all stuff that pre-exists in the industry. It's Call of Duty, it's Doom, it's Elder Scrolls, it's
everything under Activision Blizzard.
So really, you're just there to make money by owning these multi-billion-dollar franchises and push a brand as a platform that doesn't exist, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to push that everything is an Xbox, like we talked about earlier, but not enough of that library is available to warrant that branding. If you're gonna go for that, you need to have some way for the 360 library to be available on PC, to be playable under, even if it's Game Pass, which would justify the fucking price that they're asking now for Game Pass. If the entire like 360 library that is there through backwards compatibility was available digitally on PC through Game Pass, sure. Would I buy it?
Everything.
Yeah, sure. Probably not. I'd probably find other ways because it's not an ecosystem I want to buy into. And maybe they could offer a way of purchasing games. You know, it's done with PS Plus. The premium games for PS1 are available to purchase pretty cheap. You know, £8 for a PS1 game. That's pretty good. I'm gonna take that.
Yeah.
But what is the aim? Where do you go from here as a company? While also, I just think respecting your legacy, which sounds odd, I know, but we're like I said with Sega, you can play all of their older games. You can play their lineage of games.
Sega is very proud of its classics and like what it did back then, even like the Dreamcast, and maybe not the Saturn quite as much, because the Saturn as a whole was a whole dumpster fire of an era. But you know, I mean, they can't really celebrate something that wasn't really there. But
yeah.
You know, Sega, they've been out of the hardware market for like 20 years. They're still going relatively strong.
Oh, 100%. I mean, in that time, we've had an entire renaissance of Yakuza, or it's Like a Dragon now, in the West, and like a real comeback, because that's a big seller for them now. And obviously, like, they own Atlas, who just keep re-releasing Persona 5 under different names and disguises.
Hey. Last time, they re-released Persona 3. And next time, they'll re-release Persona 4. So...
Sure, which means next time they're going to re-release Persona 5 and just pretend Persona 1 and 2 don't exist.
Shush.
But yeah, like, they're pretty successful while honoring their lineage and putting out new games that are also, like, good.
Yeah, imagine that. I mean... Look at me, I am the Sonic fan here. They released a decent Sonic game in the last, like, 5 years. That's always a win. We've got a I mean, I'm not actually looked at it, but from what I can see, pretty successful racing game.
Oh, with Sonic Crossworlds. Yeah, I think that sold pretty well, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's outselling Mario Kart World, but, you know, it's...
Well, you know... I don't think it would be too hard, considering Mario Kart World's price tag and buy-in of a console.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like they're doing well. The Sonic movies. That's an unexpected success story.
No, that's a real turn of events. I don't think anyone expected to happen.
I saw a post just before we started hitting recording that was like a two like Twitter posts that were just like, I honestly believe the apparent public execution of this creature, which was the old Sonic design, has been one of the most important parts of like Sonic history.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole movie franchise now. They've got Keanu Reeves in there and shit.
Yeah. And like, what did we get from Microsoft? We got the Halo TV show that universally no one liked.
What was the Halo TV show for? Who was the Halo TV show for?
I don't know. That's a question I asked myself when I watched the first episode and was like, I don't actually know what story you're trying to tell here.
It's on Netflix now.
What?
I swear to God, it's on Netflix now. It's just not on Paramount Plus.
Oh, it was a Paramount show though.
Yeah,
what?
I'm pretty sure it was on Netflix or something last time I checked.
Hold on, I gotta check this, because I may need to torture myself just for a couple.
Yeah.
It's there. It's only season 1, but it's there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. Oh no.
get to see John Halo in his stupid fucking face.
It's insane because there's other Halo projects pre the TV show and pre this stage of Xbox, where in the build up to 4 they made a short film. I'm saying short film, I think it's quite long, I think it's like 60 minutes or something, called Forward Unto Dawn, which is about Lasky, I think. I may be misremembering. And it's basically like a story of how like Lasky idolizes Chief because he was saved by Chief at one point in time. And it's Chief. Chief is in the suit. He doesn't take off the helmet. He's voiced by Steve Downes, if I remember correctly. Anyway, he's massive. He towers above, and it feels authentically Halo.
Yeah.
Then there was
we've even talked about like Halo Legends stuff on like this show before, which we had comments on some parts of it, but fun. Overall, it felt semi-authentic.
And it's the same with like Halo Nightfall. It's not amazing. It's about like a group of Oni soldiers who get stuck somewhere. I think in Need to Strive. It's been a long time since I've seen that one actually. And like it's okay, but it's authentically Halo. It's taking a part of that universe we don't see typically very often and giving it some light. And I think that's cool because I think there needs to be more Halo stories that focus less on Master Chief specifically at this point, because ODST is one of the best things in the entire franchise, and that's one where you're not the big 7-foot tank man who can withstand many things. You are a fragile little human being.
You feel very small in that game, and it's great.
Yeah. But yeah,
let's not do that for the Halo show. Let's I don't know what comparison I can make to the Halo show, because there's nothing I can really think of.
There's really not, because they just sort of, again, it's sort of similar to The Witcher, where whoever they brought on clearly just has some amount of disdain for the actual source material and was like, actually, I'm gonna do my own thing and do it better, without understanding what it is that people liked about the thing I'm adapting.
Way back when the show was like first coming out, I think I remember saying it to you. It feels more like a Mass Effect show than a Halo show. Having now played Mass Effect, that is such a deep insult to Mass Effect. And there is actually a Mass Effect show in development now, so
Oh god, yeah, isn't that under Prime that's happening?
I think so. I want to believe it'll be good. I'm scared though.
God. Anyway, we've been recording for like 2 hours now, by the way.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about how the Series X shot itself in the foot, because not only did it happen to come out during a global pandemic, but they also released the S, which was an underpowered console that they could sell cheaper.
Yeah.
And is now limiting development.
The S is a weird thing because, like, Sony also did a digital-only console, except it's just the same console lacking the disk drive.
Yeah, they literally just took the disk drive out, but Microsoft wanted to do their 360 thing where they could sell it for a little cheap.
Except do that like halfway through the generation, or you do like something where it's got a little less memory. That was always the big thing about the 360 models, is that the cheaper one just didn't come with like a hard drive, because storage was expensive back then, at least the flash storage they were working with. And now it's like, I guess you can't do that. So they just were like, actually, let's just underpower it. And
we want money now.
Oh, God.
And it worked at the start. I know like one or two people that have a Series S, and I know no one that owns a Series X, but
I think no one wants one person that owns an X.
Yeah, nobody wants to buy a Series S now, because the people that were going to buy an S have already done so.
Yeah,
and like the S is just sort of dead now because it can't catch up to what everyone else is doing. So
it's a console that consistently struggles with new games too, even though it's running at like half the resolution. It's not quite half because it's 1440 rather than 1080. But it's running at like half the resolution of the X, and yet can't achieve sometimes even a stable 30 in games that the X can achieve, like a stable 30 in 4K or a stable higher than 60, because I think both consoles have 120 hertz output. I'm not sure, I can't remember if the Xbox does that or not, but you know, it can go higher, and it's like, okay, that's not great for developers because they're having to ship a version that can run on both of these by mandate of Microsoft.
Yeah, and that's just so limiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're reaching the end of our Steam.
Yeah. I'm thinking I need to edit this tonight too.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, man.
So yeah, this has been our little journey through our journey through our great journey through through
Journey Evolved.
The history of Microsoft and Xbox as a gaming entity, and our frustrations, and you know, overall thoughts on where they're at and where they're going, and you know, make of that what you will. It's been a long episode.
I hope it's been comprehensible.
yeah, I hope so too. And you know, I actually have no idea how to end this one because it's just been so long. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Yeah.
Here's an Xbox noise. That's how we end it. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. See you next week.